Hello, and welcome to the Create a Life You Love podcast. I'm your host, Chantel Cox. My purpose is to empower and lift up others who know in their heart they're meant for more. More joy, more impact, and more passion. If you're ready to make a radical transformation and create a life that you love, then you have come to the right place. Let's do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to season 2 of the Create a Life You Love podcast, where I get to connect with people from all over the world and share tips and strategies that assist you on your own journey. So those of you who don't know me, my name's Chantel Cox. I am an author and a transformation coach who empowers motivated professional women who are ready to break free from the bondage of daily stress and anxiety so that they can step into their full potential and create a life that they love. I'm super excited to kick off season 2 today with Katie Eades. Katie and I have visited the other day, and we were connected by a mutual friend, and we have so much in common. She is a fellow educator, an entrepreneur, and a leadership and relationship coach who's also very into neuroscience and brain hacking and all that stuff. So she's on a mission to disrupt the way that you think and the way the world communicates, one witty and wise conversation at a time. Hey, Katie, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. I'm so excited to soak up all of your wit and wisdom today.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about you and your journey and how you created a life that you love.
So I've been creating a life that I love since the day I was born. I was an entrepreneur as a kid and created a club because I wanted to have all these cool friends that also gave back to the community. And I was tutoring kids and just, I've always been creating what I love. And as a teacher, when I found that I couldn't create what I love anymore because there were rules in the way, I created something new. And my transformation started with my own weight loss journey. And after losing 60 pounds and moving to a rural town out of left Chicago, I created a new life and a brand new career as a CrossFit gym owner and a transformation coach. I did nutrition coaching, and when that life was no longer serving me, when that dream had lived its course, I knew I needed to disrupt myself a little more. And I had worked with a life coach, and that end of the year of the life coaching, I realized I wanted to get divorced, and I wanted to sell my business, and I wanted to create a new life. And so I packed up my car and I drove halfway across the country to almost New York. The toll is really expensive. So I stayed on the Jersey side in Hoboken and decided to just trust God and see what he had in store for me. And I walked into a church that first day, and I knew I was ready I knew that was the place I would create from. I knew that's where God really wanted me. I walked in with an owl coffee mug. And a man that was at the door to greet me was from Rockford, Illinois, which is an hour from where I grew up. My aunt lives there. And he, of course, remembers me because of this owl mug. And he helped me 5 years later create that brand new life by filing my LLC in New Jersey and launching the Outstanding Women Leaders Professional Coaching. And so that is how I'm here today. And I created this life in January, got back into coaching. I was ready to coach again after a 5-year journey myself and working with a life coach again. And I have met you through this podcast, and absolutely all the Wichita women, I'm coming for you when we can travel again. And so I really feel like, I've lived a pandemic and I've learned how to create in a pandemic, and I was so prepared for this one. And like you, love helping other people create from their own personal pandemics into a life that they love.
I love that. So one of your catchphrases or slogans is witty and wise. So tell us a little bit about your Witty and Wise podcast.
Yeah. So the Witty and Wise is really, it's the dualities of life for me. And so the podcast is, I host, it brings on outstanding women leaders to share their wisdom and, some of the wit. Something my therapist always says is, if it's historical, it's hysterical. And I'm a history teacher. And oftentimes it's funny to talk about things that are no longer hurting. And it's funny to talk also things, it allows us to really see more wisdom. And in the podcast, I want to create a space in every conversation that is so light and so loving that you could share something that may be incredibly wise and deep and also a little painful, and feel safe and feel held and feel seen.
I love that. Very awesome. And where can people find that podcast?
Outstanding Women Leaders is on Podbean. It's also on Apple Podcasts. Spotify, we're waiting for you to get video because eyes are the window to the soul. And of course, the contract, and I'll be happy to join you. And also on YouTube, you can find the Outstanding Women Leaders podcast or my website, owlprofessionalcoaching.com.
Love it. I love that, just a small thing, an owl on a coffee cup. Like, you did not think about, which coffee cup do I want to use today? And how is this going to...
It was actually my only coffee cup. I left everything in the divorce.
Okay. Well, there's that.
But how prophetic. And I have to say, I think the universe is just laughing so hard at us because it has the wisdom of what's ahead. And when we're in this life that doesn't feel like it's what we want, we had this phrase I learned today. It was called quantum flirts. The universe is flirting with us. And I feel like in that moment, the universe was so flirting because I didn't think about the owl coffee mug until this moment, right? Yeah, they're all, it's all over, and crazy the synergies around us and how the universe is just giving us signs all the time. And we're so busy, we don't see them.
Absolutely. So that really leads nicely into the next part is like, what tips do you have for people to create a life that they love and disrupt their lives in a positive way?
Yeah, it's so funny when people first started asking me this question, I hated it because I'm like, another tip, I'm going to give more tips. But the best tip that anyone ever gave me is I use be disruptive, but hire a coach. If you're creating a life, you're rewriting your story. And every author has an editor. You don't need an editor. You're sculpting a story. You need someone to come and help you see what's inside that's already there. Two major disruptions in my life, I had a life coach. And that gave me the ability to choose my story and really empower me. And also, your brain doesn't really want to do this. So you need someone in your corner, and you know that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this tip, right? And you can't see your blind spots. Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. But your brain can know better sometimes and not want to do better for you. And a coach will be there to help hold your big agenda for you so that you can focus on doing those actions and just being and not worrying about where the path will take you.
Absolutely. Our brains truly are designed to keep us safe. And so what we know is comfortable and therefore safe. And so it goes way back to like early man living in a cave, and you go outside of the cave, there's predators, it's not safe. And so you get that initial get back in the cave. And so we're always battling that. But the beauty of it is once you know it, once you recognize it, you can say, thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe, but I am going to start this new workout routine or apply for this new job or in this relationship or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And you also get that heart connection where you also kind of look back and you kind of giggle at, wow, like I was really fighting this amazing place. And you see the areas in your life where you were fighting it. And not only is it funny, but it's the dualities of life. You really get to see in your own self that there's a part of you that wants what's best for you. And there's still a part of you that doesn't want what's best. It just wants what's safe. And to go back to my tip, like number one, like if you want transformation, you need to do something radically different. So I think that's tip number one for sure. And the second one to help you with that is just to write every day. And it goes back to that connection of your mind and it's just an amazing tool. And I think when people think about writing, we hear like the gratitude journals, which we know neuroscience supports. But we also forget that sometimes writing about your future or writing a fake story about yourself that could be your future, if that future sounds too scary, your mind is connecting to it really happening and really believing it. And so you have to be careful when you write, because you want to manifest what you deserve. And I think sometimes when we write, we forget that.
I'm so sorry. I muted because my cat was meowing and then I couldn't get to the unmute button fast enough.
No worries. I help space.
Thank you. Yes. I so 100% agree with that tip. What else do you have?
So meditate and be mindful is a tip that I never thought I would give because it's something I never thought I would do. And the mind wants to move around and like go places. And I think when I thought of meditation, I thought of something that I had to do perfectly, and it had to be perfectly quiet. And I had to focus in, and I would try the yoga. Like, how am I supposed to meditate when I'm worried about my body? That being present in the moment part, like what meditation has really opened up for me. And I think some people, when they meditate, they think about something. I think about what I'm feeling in my body. I experience my body in the world. And that's meditation, is really getting connected to what your body is trying to tell you in the moment. And so from the neuroscience perspective, we both know there's a lot of important neural pathways that are being developed in the prefrontal cortex. And it also is shrinking those neural pathways in the amygdala, that anxiety. Because when you're really present and feel the earth below your feet or your breath going in and out and the temperature of the breath, and are really just aware, your amygdala gets quiet because the danger is not real. Or you decide this really is dangerous, but either way, you're coming from a place of intentional choice in those moments. And so when meditate for me became 10 seconds, and meditate for me became focusing on something in your body. And I saw the power of shutting off my left brain and tapping into my right brain. It really changed the way I saw the world. It changed the level of energy in the room, where it was much more in tune when people talk about intuition. So that's my tip, is whatever you think meditation is, if it's not, just really connecting to your soul.
I love that. And so you shared that you struggled with how to meditate. And I know that's something I still am working through. And I've talked to other amazing women who it's really hard to quiet your mind. And we are so critical and judgmental of ourselves that then we sit there, we're like, okay, I'm going to set a timer for something far too long. Like you're like 10 seconds. I'm like, I could probably do 10 seconds. I'm trying to do 30 minutes. And my brain starts wandering, and then I'm like, dang it, I'm so bad at this, I'm doing it wrong. And then you go down that spiral, and it's just, I love that you hit on some meditation tips for everybody.
Yeah, your brain will not fight you for 10 seconds. I promise you. There's just no part of your brain that's like, oh, I can't do something. You can hold a plank for 10 seconds, right? Like there's anything you can do. And I think
debatable, just kidding.
No, you can. So I always think of like, your gun to your head, your amygdala, if the gun was to the head, like this is something that you would say yes to. And from coaching weight loss, from coaching in an area where I always thought I had to be perfect, and I saw weight loss results with that, it just makes sense. And the great part about meditation is it isn't like you have to work out an hour a day or 30 minutes a day. What you can do is a lot of little 10 seconds a day. In Positive Intelligence, if you have read the book, or Shazad, who wrote the book, this is his rep that he encourages people to do. And it's just been life-changing for me.
It's amazing. Yeah. When I said debatable, I totally agree with you that you can do anything for 10 seconds, but you're like, you can plank. And I'm like, I don't know. No.
I love it. Your brain immediately was like, no, that's new.
I was being funny. I'm like, whatever. Like planking, yuck. It's really good for your core. Just kidding.
That's what I felt about meditation. Ooh, yeah.
Yuck. That was originally my thoughts on gratitude journals and affirmations. And now I'm like, everyone should do this.
Yeah. You know, I think if people knew that the positivity region of your brain only exists here in this prefrontal cortex, the higher thinking brain, like you can't access positivity in your amygdala. It's looking for danger. It's looking for negativity. So if you said to someone, would you like to spend 75% or more of your time in your higher thinking brain doing higher thinking work? They would say, yes. Cool, be positive. And I think that's why it's gotten a bad rap. And then you got like the toxic positivity. And so I still say positivity because that's what it is, but I'm also starting to tell people, do you want to stay critical thinking? Do you want to stay in the moment on your game? And that needs you to be positive.
I love that. That's amazing. Okay, what's the next tip?
So of course I have to have 5 tips. I can't just have a couple after I said tips. Now I'm like, oh, I got plenty. This one was, so some of these have been given to me. And so I also feel like it's my job to give them to other people. Like the 10 seconds. Acknowledge that it takes 10 months to grow a baby and another year before the child is able to walk, and sometime after that before they're off and running on the playground. Transformation, permanent change takes time. And you would never look at a baby and say, you have not walked in 9 months, you're something wrong with you. Like, you just wouldn't do that. And we can't do that to ourselves. So when I set my intention in January, I'm launching a business, I'm creating a new life. I also have to hold space for, it's going to take me 10 months to give birth to this baby. And this baby is the brand. And it's the energy. It's who it wants to show up in the world as. But babies, you know, they get to practice showing up in the world. And that's where I'm at in season 2 of my podcast / business is, and when I feel like I've hit another milestone, that's when I decided I'm adding a new season. And I think as teachers, we love a fall season and we dread the winter season because March is like in April, like February, January, longest months of the world. Summer, like I think of those seasons in life too. And so when you think about summer, you have to go through all those seasons a few times before you're running and off and running on the playground with people.
I love that. So really allowing yourself permission to take time and not thinking. It's so easy to look at someone ahead of you and be like, why am I not there yet? But really, if you ask them, how long has it taken you to get there? Nothing happens overnight.
And if they say otherwise, they are lying. And here's how I know that they're lying is when we talk about permanent change. You know, part of why I left coaching and weight loss and where it didn't feel as fulfilling is there's a whole life that you have to transform in order for something to be permanent. And so you want whatever you create to be something that you can, when I say permanent change, meaning like, you know, you can always create it again. And so you've got to spend time in that so that it's solidified. I haven't put the weight back on in 10 years. Divorce, selling business, new place to live. I didn't know anybody. Mom died. Dad came out of the closet. He's gay now. Super fun. But the boyfriend for Christmas, my second year of mom dying, was a little much. I didn't put back 60 pounds on. I have other coping mechanisms for depression. And that was also a moment where I knew January of 2020, like, got dad healed, got dad a boyfriend, like, I'm ready to roll. This is my time. And, you know, I knew I was going to the playground, and I was going to be leading the classes on that playground soon. And I'm at 10 months into that new life creation journey. But this is, you know, the more times you write your story, it's kind of like, I guess maybe it's the religion where you're reincarnated, not my religion, but just thinking about like, well, this is easier every time. And so I'm enjoying the journey more. And I'm embracing the transformation that's happening. So, and that didn't happen until I acknowledged, okay, this is going to take time. It's a pandemic. Like, did I think my business was going to be an overnight success? No one even knows I'm here. Literally, like no one's checked on me.
Nice. Do we need to like start texting each other every morning, like a thumbs up, I'm alive? Like
We have a partner now, but
yeah.
I didn't think about that, right? For my friends that I normally would have Wednesday sushis with, like they don't know.
Right.
They have boyfriends. They haven't texted me to see if I'm still eating sushi, which I am.
Yeah.
My last tip is 100% about myself, but I'm going to share it in case it resonates with anybody. And so it's less of a tip and more of a mantra for me. And it is be bold, be brave, be unapologetically you. Season 1 for my podcast was be bold, be brave, be you. And I was, but I apologized for it a lot. And season 2, Witty and Wise Conversations, I look forward to season 3 of seeing more of that on my podcast. The Unapologetically Me will actually be one-on-one episodes. It'll be one-on-one. It'll be me. There's no one else. I'll be hosting an episode of myself and really just sharing about me and my story and my journey in an unapologetic way, which is my mantra for season 3. So be bold enough to challenge your own status quo, which for me, having my own stage was hard, and sharing it it feels easier. Be brave enough to let go of judgment of yourself and others, and step into your superpowers. Be that naturally creative, resourceful, and whole leader that you are. You're born to be. You already are in this moment. Just like that Michelangelo didn't find a stone that underneath had something beautiful, you know, like it was there, it was already there underneath, and he just had to get the stuff away to get it out. Be unapologetically you.
I love that so much. Yes, unapologetically you. So I like to end or kind of transition to the next phase, I guess, with what are your daily non-negotiables?
I love that. Coffee.
Right.
The meditation, which I would have never thought was something, even on my worst days, 10 seconds is still 10 seconds, and it's a win. Gratitude. Waking up and smiling every morning when I see my partner, and I don't have to think about that non-negotiable. And some people do, but I think I start my day out with a smile, regardless of whether or not I know that I want to smile, and I end that day with a smile. And those are my non-negotiables. And I am a flexible, free person. So when you said that, I was like, ooh, coffee. But yeah, I think the gratitude, the smiling, the recognizing, I have Shawshanked my way through so much shit to get here. Why would I not be grateful for it at the beginning of the day and the end of the day? Whether or not I get the journal and I write it, or I feel it, or I think it happens.
So wonderful. I love all of those. Absolutely. So any final tips or words of witty and wise wisdom?
Yes, I do. I just finished my last class of certification in coaching. So I'm going to pass on some wisdom. And I think the embodiment is the wisdom. You go back to the meditation, go back to your neuroscience. I got to experience and I'm going to invite you if you want to do this little activity for a couple of minutes, because you're a coach, so I think you'll play with me.
Absolutely.
You have to coach without words.
Interesting.
And which means you have to embody that word. So give me a word or topic that you would like coaching on in this moment. And I'll give it 3 minutes, because it's going to be just long enough to feel so awkward and also really cool. You want to do this?
Oh, hell yeah, let's do it.
All
We're
right.
doing it.
We're going to stand up. What?
Oh, I got to stand up? Okay.
Yep.
I don't know. This is already like, I don't know. I have to rearrange, I think. Ah. Okay. I might be like squatting a little. I don't know.
All right. Okay. Give me that coaching topic that you have today.
I am looking over at our live feed and see one of my besties, Natalie, on here, and her and I would both benefit from coaching on relationships, which I know is one of your areas of expertise.
Yes. All right. So we're not allowed to talk. That is it. It's a mirroring game. So you're going to mirror me. I'm going to mirror you. Okay. All right. All right, that was long enough to be awkward.
Okay. Yeah, just a little awkward. No big deal. NBD.
So, in those moments, Coach, what were you feeling?
Very, like I'm in a very confined space, and so there was not really a way to feel very like comfortable or confident. I felt very like awkward and vulnerable. And then, so I've got the Zoom screen, and then I'm watching the Facebook Live as well. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's actually people watching this right now, and I can't just edit it, never let it be seen.
So if you were to think about that feeling as you move naturally, but somewhat not naturally, and thought about that perspective on relationships, what comes up for you?
Moving naturally, yet unnaturally. I think just the world we're in right now is, and with COVID, and we're doing online dating, and what is more unnatural and unnerving than that mess?
Look at that. So this was messier than online dating, which I didn't think could be possible. Amazing. See, you just gotta get outside your comfort zone just enough. All of a sudden, other things don't look so weird. What was here in your body? Like, what did you feel as you were doing this?
I was like, I really should have kept my cardigan on. I didn't know everybody was going to have to get tickets to the gun show today.
Yeah, so this is your heart. And so what I hear is opening your heart. There's some judgments that are coming up for you.
Yeah. And kind of insecurities, and it does go with the topic at hand, because like I, like you, had a journey, a transformation that kind of started with the physical of losing weight and eating healthy. And then I kept it off for 3+ years, was feeling very healthy and confident. And then COVID hit, and I'm still nowhere near where I was, and I'm reining it back in, and have lost like 25 pounds since Memorial Day. So I'm
That's
heading the right
amazing.
direction.
By the
But I'm
way,
like,
let's just witness that. Yeah, like, so
yeah,
we should have been doing this instead of this. Yeah, that's incredible. Well
yeah.
done.
So, but I'm not where I was. And so like when I do see my arms, I'm
And
like,
you're
that's
not
not
where,
what I want them to look like. That's not what they used to look like.
you know, what I hear is also, you're not where you were, but you're also not where you were. You're
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah,
You're in a new chapter.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So then that goes hand in hand with relationships, because like I was in a very wonderful, confident place, and then manifested this wonderful, amazing relationship. And then we chose to part ways right around Memorial Day. And now that I'm like kind of getting back on the scene, like I'm not back to where I was when I met and manifested him. And that's just our inside joke that he was my manifested man. But
Yeah. I just feel like where you are right now is a place to manifest. What kind of man do you want to manifest this time? Maybe one like that transformation that stays.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One that's not so much older than me that they won't have a child with me. How about that?
I'll tell you what, those men that aren't much older than you and want to have a child don't give a shit about this. That is a whole fact.
Truth.
If a man cares about a child, he is not concerned.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm looking over at the chat. Hey, Heather joined us, and she says, I want to have this much fun. She was a podcast guest in season 1, and also is kind of in this whole coaching space, everything that we're doing. So,
well, tell her to come. She has an open invitation to come on the podcast. I love having women, particularly coaches, because you're way more fun. You feel you're willing to play in the sandbox of conversation.
Heck yeah. I'll have to connect you two. I think you would hit it off smashingly.
Is she a Wichita woman as well?
She is not. She's someone I met through like online podcast Facebook groups where you're just kind of like, here's what my podcast is about. Anyone want to come play with me? And yeah, there we go. I've made lots of friends that way.
I love that. I love as educators, I just feel like we tend to do that, the outgoing ones, and whether it's online or at a bar or at a restaurant, I love that you're connecting, right? That's what we do for kids. We connect them to knowledge, we connect others to people. Just a natural thing. So beautiful to see.
I love it. Okay, well, this has been so very much fun. If anyone has any questions or more comments, we got lots of emojis while we were doing our fun vulnerability dance.
People were loving that. It's amazing, when you open up that heart and that space to notice what your body offers you. And when your body starts to offer you that confidence to be crazy, and by the way, I did this today already or yesterday, and I felt real weird. But then I got over it. We had to do it for 10 minutes. And then we had to sleep it. So I did it for 20 minutes. It's not awkward anymore. But also, when you do it for 10 minutes, what was amazing for me that happened is my word was own it. And I wanted to own it. And so the only way I knew how to show that in the immediate moment was to like grab a water bottle and say it was mine, And so she mirrored me, and then she went with that. And I kept trying to find like, well, how do I show like owning judgment or like owning my ugly? Like, and I couldn't come up with anything. My body is like, you're beautiful. We don't have anything here. And it shut off my ability, because as soon as we stopped and I was kind of experiencing what had just happened and that realization, I came up with several little movements I could have done to show that judgment or like embracing like nasty things
Mm.
But my mind was not thinking in that way. My right brain was fully in charge, and my body was just, no, you're incredible. And the Outstanding Women Leaders podcast, when I reach out to women, sometimes they're like, oh, I'm not a leader. Yes, you are. Everyone is a leader. If you are in relationships, if you are living life, you are a leader.
Absolutely. Someone somewhere is looking at you, especially if you are a parent or a teacher. It's some type of space where you are around children. They are looking at you and you are leading them. But then even just within your friend group or within your family, I mean, people are paying attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even if it's just you, you're paying attention. Your body is paying attention to what your mind is doing. Listen to it. Your body is far more intuitive than the brain that's protecting you.
Mm. So true. So true. Okay. So tell us, and I'll put the link in. And so it's already in the description, and I'll make sure it's everywhere. And so you've got a link tree page. So tell us some of the things that are on your link tree page of how people can connect with you.
Yeah, so I host a Witty and Wise conversation the last Wednesday of the month. In this case, it was Thursday because I had my synergy class, and that just wasn't a priority, if I'm being honest, in my last certification class. But those are open, and I'm getting ready to add a few more, open up some more options for the Witty and Wise on Wednesdays. So just stay tuned for those on the Linktree page. There's also my website, which is where all the good stuff is. I have the podcast there, but if you go just straight to the website, podcast is there. I also write a blog, and I'm committing to this blog because I'm committing to my book as I commit to the story that I have created. I've created several stories, and when you create several stories, they belong in a book that you put on a shelf so you can write a new story. And so this book the blog is the current story. And the book that's coming out will have some of those lessons in it. So that's another great resource for people if you're looking to learn about neuroscience and just like whatever my thoughts on leadership life and risky business are. They're all on there as well. There's a link for a complimentary session. It's called a leadership and relationship evaluation call. Don't freak out. We're not really evaluating you. We're really, just getting a listen at where you're at in life. Provide a small little sample session of coaching of like the possibility that can be created. And it's really a synergy call to see, is this a life that you want to create together? Or is this a life that you feel like, I think people should find someone they want to create a life with in a really intentional way, and not in a partner way, but in a, like, let's co-design. And so for people, when they call, we're really looking at, what do you need? How can I best serve you? And do I have that ability to do so?
That's amazing. Have you picked a title for your book yet?
It's a great question. Mom's Dead, Dad's Gay Now, I'm Still Funny is still like the title that always gives me the laugh that I'm looking for. Because I do want it to be that wit and wisdom. There's a lot of what could be, sad moments in the book that I want people to laugh and cry. I've always said, like the Michael Scott. I want people to fear how much they love me. I want them to laugh so hard they cry. So I think, it's a working title. I'm sure some publicists will tell me it's terrible in the future, but that's where my heart is right now.
Absolutely. Go with your heart. Yeah, if I was walking around in a bookstore and I saw that title, I'd be like, what now? And I would pick it up.
Right. It's funny. So I'll throw this out there. So I was thinking of like Mom's Dead, and then underneath of it in parentheses saying like, that's a bummer. Because that's like a legitimately something I said in a text to someone. And then under like, Dad's gay. Well, this is going to be fun, right? Or like, this is going to be interesting. And something about I'm still funny. Like, why haven't you bought this book yet? Like that's kind of where I'm playing with is, and I talk about the dualities of life, but I don't think we as people embrace the dualities because we want things to be perfect. we see that in politics and government, and we're so, like, they didn't do this, it's the dualities of life tell us that there will be good and there will be bad, and you can't have one without the other. And that's kind of the journey that I want to share with people, so that you can learn to look back in the history of it all and laugh, so that as you're creating in the future, you can laugh along the way.
I love it. Wonderful. So definitely everyone reach out, connect with Katie, and definitely take advantage of that evaluation. Is it a call like similar to this?
Yeah, it's a Zoom call. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. Everybody knows how to Zoom now. It's 2020.
Everybody knows how to Zoom. If you want to Google Hangout, if you want to just a straight up phone call, WhatsApp, I actually do both. Depends on the client. Some clients want to physically be seen. Some people feel better over a phone, which is fine. I'll just get creative about how I have you describe yourself so I can see you.
Look at you differentiating.
Right? That is exactly what it is. It's hysterical how this, everybody gets to be an individual in coaching. You get to differentiate. It's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you, Katie. And definitely everyone go connect with her, check out her podcast. Any timeline you've put for yourself for book?
Ooh, I love that you just helped me to that right now. I am actually having a call with my coach tomorrow to talk about that with my time as I'm heading into some exciting things. I need to have a neuro certification in addition to coaching because I like to learn and collect letters behind my name. The traditional route is letters in front. I'm working on collecting letters behind.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Right. So that is, I want to make sure that I'm kind of blocking that time, and I'm prioritizing the book. I really am. So I don't have an answer to that, but I feel like it would just make a great Christmas book, like airplane read.
Yeah.
Because if you hit the blog, I was a history teacher, and history is boring. I have a way with words. And so maybe I'll hold my feet to the fire on this one and say, okay, guys, December. I love that you just asked me that.
There you go. There you go. Love it.
Such a great picture.
And allow yourself some grace. I wanted mine to be out around the holidays so people could gift it. And we had all kinds of tech issues. So it ended up being a New Year's book.
Yeah. Or maybe a Valentine's book.
Yeah. It's going to come out when it's supposed to come out.
Yes, 100%.
It'll have perfect timing. So, well, thank you everyone for joining us, and have a fabulous evening.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you for listening to the Create a Life You Love podcast. I would love to hear from you about your biggest takeaways. Share them with me on Facebook or Instagram at Create a Life You Love Coaching. If you love this podcast, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. That's it for now. Enjoy the journey.